Okay, now moving to the remaining chapters, and in this chapter, okay, hello. Now we are moving to the next chapter in the magazine of January 2020. This is about the role of community radio in disaster management and climate change. Like community radio, which specializes in providing the local information to the local people, it had a important role in disaster risk reduction. Like Government of India has committed for a vibrant developing of community radio movement through participation, involvement, and ownership of locally community. Like community radio provides an opportunity for the community to speak about the issue which concern to their own life. And this had been released a policy that allowed well-established educational institutions to set up a community radio station in order to promote developmental and social change. Now, with the new policy in the place, it opens the door for the community radio as a platform for development, social change, and voice for the community in concern. At present, there are 276 functional community radio stations. So this is what the things were. There are 51 operational community radio with station in 26 districts. Community radio is also prominent being used in Nepal, Bangladesh, Philippines for the rural development. Also, they are equally popular in the Canada, America, Australia, and South Africa. So, what the community radio are useful for? Speaking to the communities in the local language, using the terms and phrases that were easily locally available and understood, providing a two-way interaction, social learning through the listening clubs, call-in show, and other forms of exchange. Also, communicating the local knowledge, needs, and demand beyond the community to inform them about policy research and other important knowledge. Now, providing the only media available to the community that have little or no access to the other method conveying information and knowledge. There are some remote accesses where there is no any TV, they do not have sophisticated technology like mobiles, so they will provide a information and knowledge to them. Now, bringing together the people from the frequently disconnected stakeholder groups such as livelihood, community leaders, organization, and governance. Community radio and disaster management. Like the presence of community radio in every phase of disaster, mitigation, preparation, and early warning, the response, recovery, and revitalization is essential for the exchange and sharing of information and dialogues among the residents. So stories about the climate and environmental change appears in the form of documentaries, talk shows, dramas. So these are something that requires helping the community about the impact and sharing the experiences and knowledge and responding to them. Like most of any initiative, like community radio and climate change, are currently focusing on delivering the information message about the listener about short term and medium term forecast for the farmers, the extreme weather events, and messaging to discourage practices which degrades the environmental assets. So it will be a great source for making aware people about their life, environment, and all. So the community radio has a potential to do much more by strengthening the community voice and providing an accessible knowledge, space for the knowledge. So this is what the thing says. Now, what is the scope? Like pre-disaster. In a community, we can aware the people about the preparedness, and they had safety measures to be broadcast, and the community behavior they should follow during the disaster time. So, broadcasting. Another important task is broadcasting warning signals uh, in their community. So, radio holds such a potential that it can reach the area where peoples cannot be reached by other forms of communication. So it breaks the barrier of literacy and economic status by bringing people together in the times of disaster. So it's a very good measure. While television networks may break down due to the some type of natural disaster, but radio carries the potential for the continued functioning in such times. So the community awareness in the situation during disaster is very much important, and warning issued by the meteorological department will provide update to them, and rehabilitation operation will be successful if they do the same. Now, during disaster, at the time of disaster, most forms of communication are disrupted, barring the radio signal. So the community radio can help the community to link with the safety shelter where they can access aid and rescue facilities. Okay, so this is the things they had. Now, what is the post-disaster? Post-disaster, this is a very crucial phase as during rehabilitation, the community requires maximum support. And if there is a medium of exchange of communication in the local language, their strength and morale will be high. So post-trauma counseling and update the relief can be part of being the content which are broadcasted. So this will help the peoples to mitigate the crisis which they faced, and there could be some amount of counseling to the people who have very much damaged by the pandemics which have been caused. Now we had training community radio staff for the disaster management. So, like the for effective utilization, we had community radio and disaster management, and it is essential that the staff members should be trained as specific. And several government department and ministry have took the work for change, and disaster management can join their hands to use their platform. Like conclusion, we had rulers area are constantly faced with the natural calamities, like given a relief agency and the government control room. The prime motive of an advantage of the community radio that they focus on affected communities, and the content is delivered in the local language itself. They should have a rescue operation information by the location specific stations. Also, since the information is in the local language, it will help to avoid any miscommunication. Okay, this is what the things are. Now we are moving to the restoration of the safe water. I'm not looking, awareness about all the things, wastage and indigenous solution to the problem, local problems, local solutions. Then we had, and this is what the things that matter in the things, like the environmental changes during the forest fire in the summer, landslide in monsoon, etc. This community constantly struggle, and they are isolated. They are in isolated situation. So the community reviewer has the power to organize and provide them information and to connect the community who are in the much need and aid. So this will curb also miscommunication, misinformation at the time of pandemic or panic. So this will be a very good initiative if the community radio and their system develops over a large period of time. So we had pre-disaster, post-disaster. We have a counseling measure, mental health, and we can make aware of the people about their benefits of the government, and it will communicate the message which is directly needed. And in the time of disaster, it will avoid miscommunication and misinformation too. So we have a very special article about the interview of Professor M.S. Swaminathan. And M.S. Swaminathan is the father of Indian Green Revolution, and he collect his association with the Yojana and all. Now we had M.S. Swaminathan has been asked. The Prime Minister addressed at United Nations climate change that behavioral change is need of the hour to combat climate change. So he given that behavioral change comes from the three levels. One from home, the role of mother is very important. Secondly, from the school and college, and third from the society and starting from the political leader. So unless they have commitment to ensure what we do not interfere with climate, we will have difficulty. Therefore, the behavioral changes have to be brought about at three levels: at home level, at a school college level, at society level, and the attitude towards Public life should also change at finally. Unfortunately, we do not have yet any organized program of public education. So this is the scene we they made a point here. So there is an effort. The Prime Minister tries his best to spread the news. So he pays them. Now in our own homes, we still switch on air condition even when it is not needed. So every unit of energy dependent on a non-renewable energy. So there are we in difficulty. So how do we should promote the renewable energy instead of non-renewable energy? So in other words, there is need to energy management at all household level and should have institutional level and in the cities in the town. So there is a need to create a number of public awareness in the school and college, and he believes that every panchayat should have a climate management society. Okay, decentralized approach is there, so it's a very good point here. Now we should try to educate the panchayat members about the need to combat climate change. So this is how the we are going to make a behavioral change in the hour of climate combating climate change. Now the government has rolled out several policies and programs to tackle the climate change. What more need to be done? Like we are very unique in ourselves. We are democratic society. We had the government at three levels, and particularly panchayat institution and the state level and so on they had. So the at he mentioned about that at political level, from gram sabha to the parliament, um and and he mentioned about that there we have a large number of academic and scientific institutions and a number of university from panchayat to parliament. What I need is that public education should become the part of everybody business. Not only a few, but should all feel that climate change not distinguish between the rich and poor. So if you are rich, you are trying to manage the climate in your own home by using energy. This time has come that we should tackle the climate change. We have started MSRF climate change climate research in the year 1989, and over 30 years we have taken a number of measures. And in the beginning, there was very great reluctance, but things changing, and we are in a mode of transition from the high carbon society to low carbon society, and we should try to make this transition as far as possible. So, is this transition phase taking longer time? He says that that is true because theoretically our peoples are aware of the climate problems, and there are various issues like Indian Meteorological Department. The climate measurement because we are largely an agricultural country, and due to photosynthesis, agriculture is the main source of renewable energy. And we had various example. We had the worship of sun and the green plants during the Pongal times. So the idea of the sun being worshipped is the fact that the green plants are absorbing sunlight and converting to energy. That these are all advanced stages of knowledge. So people do not know sugar is the most efficient absorber of the solar energy, which we use in the cultural practice of rituals in the Pongal. So this is what they said. So I think we are making a transition, and in the recent time, climate change conference was there, and there was a hope that it will come to an agreement with all countries, and it is not only in India and in the Eurasia. It is not only the USA, but every citizen of this world should have a feeling that it is my planet and we should try to protect it. Okay, so we have the growing awareness about them. Then we had about for cooking, we need energy. We have in every sphere of life we need energy, and therefore the pace can be accelerated provided we find alternative to everyone. of the high carbon activities. Okay, so this is what the article mentioned about. Now we have a smokeless chulha. It may be a small item, but it is important that it will make a contribution. And it, in the next 10 years, nothing much is going to happen. He mentioned that, but the next 20 year it will happen if the things continue like this. So by the time when our children will be grow, therefore we should not become complacent. Okay, so this is how the things were on, that this is a transitional phase. Now, in the recent month, stubble burning has become a major issue for the pollution of Delhi. So, what are the steps government need to take to tackle it? So, he says that I have been witnessing this from the beginning, and generally rice varieties were grew very long, and but then the rice was has to be harvested, and the rice has to be harvested by September October, so the wheat can be planted at the right time. And he made that the longer duration, if there is a no any proper time for the cutting and harvesting, there is no good yield. And they are not going to do one crop yield per year. So they had completely there is completely new crop rotation now in Punjab. When wherever there is rice, wheat rotation take place within the rice biopark. Rice bioparks mean that every part of the rice plant, straw, hull, husk, leaves, all of them should be utilized. And my point is, he make that unless there is an economic value for them, farmers will not support. So in South India, you mentioned that they do not burn straw, and they used it to for cow as a feed for the cow. So the farmers resort of vegetable burning when they do not have economic value. So he mentioned that he told to the Rajasthan government that stating that he should buy the things and you should give them as fodder. So why they do not buy from the neighboring Punjab, giving them money and as a feed to the cattle? Uh, so he made that unfortunately good idea sometimes remains on the paper. It's a very big point he makes about the government of the day. Now we had to provide technology to the farmers in the sense that they could convert a straw into useful end product. So by this kind of change and cropping system, we can develop a technology like Tamil Nadu. There were five major farming systems known as Kurunji, Mullai, Marutham, and Naithal, Pallai, and they had hill zone, forest zone, coastal zone, and all. So this is what the thing. Now that we have become the number one producer of the world rice in the world, and Thailand, which earlier was used to be the number one. So therefore, there is no use of blame game. So we have importing that rice vegetable. It is a good source of calories for animal and have a good and has also a good number of vitamins. So we can tap this and uh, he made about that trip of international rice sisters on Philippines. Mr. Cory Aquino, who was the country president, and he took the around a rice biopark, and he saw a beautiful rice straw paper. So how much it cost? Can you make thousands of Christmas card out of this? So I have he made an experience that he made uh, that 1000 ton, which is not difficult. I will not burn it. So it will become animal fodder. It can be made paper board. It can be remanured. So all the things alternative to the burning could be done for the economic benefit itself. So he mentioned about the experience when he made a rice straw paper to the Philippines president. Now, what would the government do to make the technology available to the farmers to stop stubble burning? Unfortunately, in our country, technology transfer is very slow because we have agriculture as the state subject. and government of India is concerned with the larger issue. So he mentioned that he has started with the what called Krishi Vikas Kendra in 1972, and it is something like Krishi Vigyan Kendra. The idea had got to be on the neighbor list, but we requires at least a climate management unit in every panchayat. So this was his art. Now he was asked about the artificial intelligence and Internet of Technology are playing major role in the every sector. So how to use this technology in agriculture? So he mentioned that every panchayat should have the method of doing, and just there had been National Academy which has branches all over the country, just like Indian Science Academy, and it had to be every panchayat should be have method of doing that. And thirdly, the government of India had now the annual meeting of the all chief minister. Then we should put the agenda of using AI and IoT. So this is how the things will go. Now he was asked of the today food system is one of the main driver of the deforestation and biodiversity loss. How we can tackle it? So he made that statement that for the food system we require more land. Ideally, a country should produce more and more food and in the less and less land. Like we should try to maximize the productivity pathway than the area expansion. So made a very good point that we should try to maximize the productivity rather than the area expansion. So because of our average yield is still on 1 ton and 1.5 ton per hectare, which in Japan account for the 5 to 6 ton per hectare. So we can easily manage it by growing crops of the higher productivity level. Whether it is of basmati or any variety, we can export more. If you can export more, you can grow more rice. So this is what the things were. Now what this is suggests that we are essentially an agricultural country, and that is what we have to recognize. And modern industry is labor saving, so agriculture is labor absorbing. Jobless growth is not what we want. Job led growth is needed, and agriculture provides the solution. So he makes mention that agriculture is a sector of employment, immense employment and opportunity. So this is what the things we had. Now coming to the mitigation of the carbon footprint, it is about the sustainable living that India has committed to the Paris climate change agreement, reducing emission by 30 to 35% by 2030, and also using to land use and land cover. And for we have also promised target for the renewable and sustainable energy, along with the combating desertification. Like we had global warming has with the burgeoning anthropogenic greenhouse gases emission has been altering the climate change in the ecosystem, productivity and sustenance of water, and thus affecting the livelihood of the people. So increasing greenhouse gases with the footprint, which constitute the 72% of carbon dioxide. So greenhouse gas footprint need to be balanced with the sequestration of the carbon to sustain the ecosystem function. Okay. So first acts as a major carbon sink. We about 45% of they add to the mitigating global warming. Now biodiversity biodiversity hotspot and the forest in this region sequestering atmospheric carbon. Okay, now we had a number. The region is endowed with the 4600 plus species on the flowering plants. Now we had 156 reptiles, 508 birds, 120 mammals, and 29 fishes which are endemic. 75% of amphibians are in endemic. So it had a many much more impact. So it is considered that water it is considered as water tower India autonomous originating. Okay, what the hell? So the Western Ghat. It is about the Western Ghat, and the Western Ghat had such a biodiversity which had um, these kinds of endemic species which live here. So it is considered as the water tower of India due to numerous stream originating and draining millions of hectares. And the river of the Western Ghat ensure water and food security to 45 million people in the peninsular Indian subcontinent. So the region has tropical evergreen forest and moist deciduous forest, and they had solar savannas and high rainfall savannas, which account for the 10% of the forest in the legal protection. So these are some important things about the Western Ghat. Now we had land use dynamics was assessed using the temporal remote sensing data of the Landsat 8 operational land manager. This was the name of the satellite, did not remember it. So we had a number of things they had suggested. There are the carbon sequestration potential of the forest ecosystem was stressed on because of published literature. We had seen that standard biomass experiment field based measurement collecting across the forest western Ghat of Karnataka using a transit based quadrant supply sampling technique, and the increase in the monoculture plantations such as acacia, eucalyptus, teak, rubber developmental project, and agriculture expansion are the major driver of land using dynamics, LU dynamics. Okay, land using dynamics. Now we had Goa, which has a loss of tract of invalid forest. Okay, we will